Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Tell me, boy.
I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, bitch, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, I'm paranoid, bunch of paranoid,
Testicles 1-2, Testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Trebles Garcia, your humble host. I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing episode lined up for all of you guys, but before anything, I want you guys to please check out paranoidradio.com. Check out paranoidradio.com today, and do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. This allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Now, I don't want to be rude, so I'm going to pull up some notes here. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. My next special guest is the first timer here. She has her own podcast show. She's a hostess of the Cosmic Peach podcast. Julia brings a unique perspective to all things that go bump in at night or bump to you at night. It both ways. She comes in and she brings it in. Exploring the fringe and the unthinkable, cryptids, true crime, paranormal activity, conspiracy theories, and the most ancient mysteries. That is what I love to do as well. This show is designed to take you out of your comfort zone and make you question reality every single night and every single day. Listener discretion is advised. Please give a warm welcome to Julia from the Cosmic Peach podcast. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. God bless. Whoever wrote that intro is a certified genius.
She is amazing. I mean, whoever did it.
Yeah, certified genius.
Yes, certified genius. I want to thank you so much for being here, taking your sweet time and donating it to our listeners, our show, based in California. I want to know where you're based at and how did this start, and tell, please, the people where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm Julia, obviously, as you said. I host the Cosmic Peach podcast. I'm in Oklahoma, actually. And I've been going strong for about 3 years now, and I'm available wherever you listen to podcasts except for YouTube, because my content just, you know how it goes. You get one strike, then you get the second strike, and I didn't even get the third strike before I just went ahead and took my whole channel off because I was so tired of it. Yeah. But no. I'm on Instagram, cosmic.peach.podcast, and like I said, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts.
They make it extremely hard for us, especially because of the topics and the category of explicit conversations that we are having, and the controversial stuff that we bring in and bring to the table and present on a daily basis. It really fucks with the algorithms, and most importantly, it wakes people up. They don't want people awakened. And now, I'm not trying to bring this whole into a conspiracy theory, but I'm glad that you're spending time doing what you're doing. There's not a lot of women out there that are conspiracy smoke shows like yourself, putting in the work and dropping in the knowledge and taking the time to spread truth. Now, talking about truth, you have a very specific category of conversation that you're bringing in today. You're presenting the NEPHIL. Ooh. And you know what? It's funny because the past 4 episodes, so I'm recording twice every day now. And the last 4 episodes that I did, we spoke about the Nephilim. We spoke about bloodlines. We spoke about mounds and secret Nephilim technology. And it's amazing the different inputs, the different research that people bring into the table. I cannot wait to hear what you got.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it has become a little bit of a conspiracy theory within a conspiracy theory, because I feel like a lot of people discovered the topic of the Nephilim at one time, and then it kind of blew up and everybody wanted to talk about it. And people were getting information from different resources, and now it's a conspiracy theory that the Nephilim aren't real and people are, tripping balls, and why is everyone talking about this? But it is very, very real. Are you familiar with Gary Wayne at all? He wrote the Genesis 6 conspiracy book, and he talks about the Nephilim on podcasts all the time.
Even if I was, please break it down to me one more time.
So I was first introduced to the topic because I read that book, the Genesis 6 conspiracy, and it talks about Genesis 6, where it describes that the fallen ones came down to earth and they mated with the daughters of man and Ba, and they had offspring, and they were giants, and they had powers and all this stuff, and then the giants reproduced and so on and so forth, and these are the Nephilim. So it's the Genesis 6 conspiracy that bloodline survives, and even though the physical attributes may have diminished over time, the gene or the bloodline, if you will, persists, and this is the elite class that's always trying to enslave us and control us. And I personally believe that is very, very true. I mean, I don't know where you stand on it, but I think that it's very, very true.
Quite frankly, I'm only going to amplify your message here. Like the Bible's the oldest conspiracy book on earth.
It's like the most supernatural text ever.
It has sex, it has true murder, it has a true crime, it has rivalries, it has kingships, it has empires. Dude, like, I mean, if you want to get a kick of a story in conspiracy theories and a dose of greatness, you got to read the Bible sometimes. And again, I'm not religiously inclined. I'm not trying to say that, you know, this is the only way of salvation. I'm not trying to sell salvation on the show at all, but I am going to inject a little Jesus Christ here. And now you want to start speaking about the Nephilim. The Nephilim are 1,000% real. I don't know how much to emphasize this. The bloodlines they left behind are real. The animals they created, the abominations they created are 1,000% real. And in many instances, I start believing that even the paranormal activity that we go through on a daily basis is part of the bloodline remains, the aftermath, what the flood did not reach to destroy. Modelo time.
I agree. Because actually, it says in the Bible that after the flood, the souls of these giant beings, these Nephilim type hybrid beings, their soul was sent to like Sheol or something like that. It's like a purgatory for demonic souls. And they cannot interact in the physical realm in their body, but they can always look for a person to possess. And the saying is like they're never at rest, always looking for a body to possess. So the only way that they can interact with us in the physical world after the flood would be to possess someone, or they're just a wandering spirit, like a ghost or a shadow person or an elemental, these different names for the same type of entity, a trickster, a this, a that. It's all really like one type of soul that was damned to this purgatory place after the flood. However, I do think that one of two things could have happened. There were survivors after the flood that continued the bloodline, or there was a second incursion of fallen angels after the flood. Because you see in the Bible where when they went into the land of Canaan, there were giants there. That was after the flood. David and Goliath, after the flood. These things that we see that are after the flood that reek of giants. Also in Egypt, there are depictions everywhere in the hieroglyphics of giant beings, of a little person standing next to like a 40-foot tall person. 40-foot tall doorways, things like this. Things that would suggest maybe the nobility of the time were giants. Or, you know, if you want to go with hieroglyphics for another thing, some of them bitches look serpentine AF. They got elongated skulls. They've got real slanted slits for eyes depicted in the hieroglyphics. Why, like, who do you know that looks like that? Like, be honest with me. Do you know someone that's got eyes to the back of their freaking head and their skull's freaking 6 foot long? Like, who do you know that looks like that? Honest to God. And it's not them being dramatic. Oh, well, they were depicting him like this because, you know, he was the pharaoh and this. No, I think the motherfucker really looked like that.
Yeah. Word.
I think they also legit had elongated skulls.
I'm going to. This is gonna sound wonky and it's gonna sound way out there.
Hit me.
But check this out. I'm gonna hit you with something. You're gonna, oh man, once you start doing the dive, of the timelines, you're going to be like, what the fuck did they just... So the definition of serpent is a fire-breathing dragon. One of the definitions of serpent, if you guys go on Google right now, hashtag look this up, GTS that shit. GTS means Google that shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to stop driving, pull up to the side of the road, and hit up Google right now and put the definitions of serpent. And one of those definitions, one of the 3 definitions as a noun, is a dragon-type creature with scales. Now, the Bible also talks about the dragon, not only in Apocalypse and Revelations, but it talks about the dragon in early stages of the Bible. I think in the Old Testament. And then we have the serpent that seduced Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, right? Okay. So why am I bringing this up? It's because speaking biblically, we are only 6,000 years old, roughly a little over 6,000 years old, if you want to talk about it biblically. Now, you guys could dive deeper into the timeline and go check it out for yourselves and form your own opinions. And obviously, all based on research. And in the beginning, there was no bloodshed. There was only Adam and Eve, and all the animals were peaceful, and nobody was eating each other. No, there was no need to hunt. There was no need for other animals to eat each other. Everybody was eating plants and massive trees, etc., etc. It was only until after sin was introduced to the earth, to the humankind and the animals on around, that they started eating each other because of sin and because of necessity. Now we have the idea starts formulating where dinosaurs actually walked and roamed the earth while humans walked and roamed the earth. Now, a lot of the things that you said about the Egyptian culture and the Egyptian structures are all based, and they always tell us that they have been thousands and thousands and millions of years old based on carbon dating. But carbon dating is one of the most inaccurate ways to date anything, specifically when you're following a Gregorian calendar also as well. So what am I trying to bring into is the lines of the Nephilim are not that far apart, and even though they still existed, they are probably still trying to perfect their bloodline still to this day through the elites, through cloning, through all these paranormal creatures that you see that you encounter on a daily basis. And the more sin that you surround yourself with, and the more negativity and low frequency vibration activities that you surround yourself with, the more exposed you're on, the more thinner the veil is, and the more easier it is for them to attack you and ambush you. Mm-hmm. Just a quick rant out there. Sorry.
No, I think I agree with you. I agree with you because the one pharaoh that I can think of specifically with the huge elongated skull and the weird freaky features was Akhenaten. And the reason I think that he was Nephilim is because he married his own he married his sister, not like a half sister or like a stepsister. He married his full-on sister and reproduced with her. And they all had freaky elongated skulls and squished up faces and stuff. So if you don't think that's important to them to keep this bloodline going, you would be severely mistaken. Just like with the royal family, if you look at the royal family, they marry their cousins, first cousins. If they get a child that's severely deformed or has a cleft palate or some weird, deformity, they'll lock them up in a mental institution and nobody will ever know about them until they're dead and gone. So, and honestly, if you look at the royal family, they're not attractive people at all. They're look disfigured. They're a dog hair away from being completely disfigured. And so every now and again, they have to bring someone in from outside of the bloodline to prevent these defects and abnormalities. But they, on the regular, would prefer to keep it in the family, literally.
Talk about keeping it in the family.
I'm telling you. I'm so freaking serious. And so that's why I think they brought in Princess Diana at some point, because there are so many conspiracy theories about what really happened to Princess Diana when she went into the tunnel. It was a car crash, whatever, but it was very ritualistic in nature. There was a lot of dark occult symbolism around her death. Yeah. And if you look at the kids, one of the kids, let's just say she never cheated on Charles. Why? Tell me why. Does Harry look like he's the milkman's? Who out of the family has red hair and white skin and big green eyes and freckles all over their face? Tell me one royal family member who's got that going on.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. And you go back in time, you read about the Gingers are legit. You know, they're from way back. Elongated skulls are found all over Peru, all over everywhere with red hair giants.
DJ, fuck my life. Hold the fuck up. You said something about the Gingers go way back to when. Repeat that one more time. What happened with the Gingers? I'm into ginger women. Don't destroy this for me.
I mean, trust me, because I am a ginger, I would feel, some type of way about that, but it's the truth. It is the truth. Going back to the first generations of the giants, there is a red-haired giant that is in Ireland, it's in Egypt, it's in Peru. They're finding huge skeletons with these big elongated skulls, red-haired, not typical for the area. Like if you dug up a skeleton in Egypt, you wouldn't expect it to be 15 foot tall with blazing red hair and an elongated, like you don't expect to see that in certain parts of the world, but yet it's there. Especially in Peru. They've went into caves and found little tiny elongated skull baby skeletons with red hair. I mean, it's the realest shit. And then we flash forward into the future, and it's like every other generation of the royal family's got a ginger pop up.
Okay.
And like, why? What is the significance of that? And then Harry, the ginger in the royal family, goes on to marry Meghan Markle, and her family goes back to Robert the Bruce, who was like legit. I'm telling you, she's a royal too.
Yeah.
And she's got the same DNA bloodline thing going on as the royal family does. Robert the Bruce goes all the way back to when they were looking for the Ark of the Covenant and shit. And he gave passage for the Knights Templar to bring the Ark of the Covenant to, I think it was wherever, Ireland or Scotland or something like that. That's Robert the Bruce. He was mentioned in the Da Vinci Code. All up in the conspiracy business, and Meghan Markle is descendant from him and then married the little redhead kid from the royal family. You tell me that's not by design.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. That's why it's so dense and it's so hard to unpack for people, because they're like, well, if there was giants, what are they, all NBA players? Nah. They don't care about that anymore. They're not looking for wingspan. They're trying to preserve a gene. They think that they have magic in their blood because the fallen ones did have magic, quote unquote. They could do all these things.
I love the way you brought that in. Check this out. Shout out to K4B3 Podcast, Joe Rizzi, for bringing this information onto our show. So I'm holding back on this episode because it was a fucking bomb. Dude, he demolished it. We found out that in 1997, this company called Clonade stopped receiving federal funding by the Clintons because people that they were cloning, trying to clone human beings. One of the first human beings that they managed to clone was named Eve. Now check this out. After they stopped receiving federal cloning, they did not stop receiving private donations. Oh, Modelo time. This episode is brought to you, not Modelo. No, so check this out. So they stopped receiving federal funding. They started receiving private funding. And at a time, they even started doing the research, the cloning research in universities, right? Even high school labs, because they didn't have enough money. Point is, based in the Bahamas, this is an American lab based in the Bahamas. And they started fucking around with gene splicing. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is one of the biggest names out there. A lot of the things that people don't know is that he is huge into transhumanism. He was obsessed with his own genes. He was obsessed with installing his DNA in other people's DNA. Like, he wanted to have people to be related to him one way or the other. Now, after all we found out already that he did get away with, who are we to take away or not jump into the idea of him actually succeeding into having some clones of himself, or possibly even have injected himself into other women and using them basically like an oven and having babies of himself, right? And perfecting his genes. Now, gene splicing and perfecting the gene isn't new to the United States or to humankind. Hitler was in love with the perfect race. The Israelis still to this day are in love with the perfect race. This is why they cut the tips of their own dicks, and they have their own way of group of peoples and their own methods and ritualistic things that they do for a specific reason to stand out away from other people. They're not the only ones doing it. The Chinese did it. Genghis Khan did it. This is why a lot of people, 3 out of 5 people in the United States of America, around the world, are related to Genghis Khan. Somehow, some way, we are all related to this son of a gun. So everybody was infatuated with the idea, obsessed with the idea of injecting you into the next generation physically, morally, spiritually. And every single time that you be evoking that person, building a statue or speaking his name, you'll live on forever. Your legacy lives on forever, etc., etc., etc. So the elites are, and this is amplifying what you said, the elites have had the keys to technology and gene splicing abilities using magic, because that's what they are. They're also magical, to create abominations with our bloodline. Again, trying to mimic what happened in the days of Noah, so that they could bring forth and rush in the Antichrist. And why am I saying the Antichrist? I'm saying it because if they build the perfect specimen of Nephilim avatar, they can evoke this entity, and then it could come in and bring deceit to the people, do miracles for people, etc. and etc. Right? And people was like, "Oh, this guy's a Messiah, the second coming," when it's actually the Antichrist, and then more souls are lost. Right? So it all connects. Yeah, I'm probably reaching, but the research is there. There's a lot of information that says the Nephilim are still around, and the elites stay elites for that long period of time, and they overlive your existence for a specific time. This is why you die at 70, because they overwork you. You're eating shit food while they're fucking feeding off your energy, bloodline, adrenochrome, and all this perfect pharmaceutical shit that they have and we don't have access to, etc., etc.
No, that's exactly right, because they do believe, and they probably do have magic in their blood, and that comes from their ancestors who really were they were angels. I mean, you can imagine what an angel would be capable of. Look at Lucifer, okay? An angel. I think people forget about that. He was an angel, and he is capable of doing all this, as were the other angels. Word. But what's crazy to me is the gene you're talking about, the gene that they look for in people. They call it the gene of Isis. And if you mash that together,
I'm googling this right now.
Genesis.
Oh my God!
They look for. It's in the blood too. It's in the blood. It's in the blood. They call it the gene of Isis. Other words, Genesis. Okay. And that's where we see the first incursion of the fallen angels coming down and procreating with human women. Genesis. That's what they're looking for in the blood.
There's a lot of the genesis of Isis, the gene of Isis. It's a Islam. You guys gotta look this up. This is wild. Oh man, there's pages of this stuff, dude. The untold story of gene of Isis. Wow. I'm googling right now as you're going. That is wicked. That is wicked. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good connection.
So imagine if they're looking for this and that's what they're calling it. Okay. Obviously, if you have this gene of Isis, it doesn't matter if you have red hair or brown hair or green hair, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Hispanic, it doesn't matter to them, which is something that I need to get people to understand is they created division amongst races to keep us distracted and keep us busy. They don't give a real fuck who has the gene of Isis. They don't care if it's a Hispanic person, an Asian person, a white person, a black person. Anybody can have this gene. But they create this like racial division and makes people fight amongst each other like white people are superior, or this is superior, or that's superior. That is all mind game, literally. Literally. The elite class, they don't give a actual fuck. Have you ever heard of the black nobility?
Yes.
I mean, think about that. Think about
Yeah.
that. And they get us to like war amongst each other. So we're worried about like, not to, because I know you talk about political stuff, but we're worried about like Roe versus Wade and who's going to do this for Social Security. And we're worried about like, who's going to help me pay for my daycare, and race war, this and George Floyd and blah, 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 all this stuff to keep us distracted. When they're at the tippy top, like cloning motherfuckers, doing fucking dark arts,
there it is,
magical rituals with blood and like bleeding people out and shit. Like, what are we really fighting about?
Yeah, and they got messy. They got messy because for I want to say for hundreds of years, just recently, they started getting very messy in the way they portray themselves and started putting out the message. It got to a point where I cannot see a movie or a TV series or listen to regular music on the radio without having to take a second listen to what they said or second look to, because I see symbolism everywhere. And this is not because I'm a conspiracy theorist or I'm a fucking lunatic. No, this is because it's in your fucking face, dude. How more blunt can they tell you the truth? And it's all about karmic retribution. They have to tell you what they're doing so that you subconsciously accept it, and then not only accept it, but beg to be enslaved. Quite honestly, I honestly think that we are unfolding the pages of Revelation already as we speak. These are the end of times. Have you ever seen satanic worship run rampant to the amount it's going right now, and then over glorified and amplified by the media the way it's been amplified by the media today? Like, it's fucking insane. I don't remember the time of day when I was coming up that you would imagine a future where your kids would be taken away from you because you didn't allow them to be gay or any other words. Like, I
mean, that's the thing, though, is like the corruption of the innocence, because everything they do, in my opinion, is a mockery of Christ. Okay, think about what Christ did for us on the cross. His blood is what they try to mimic. His perfect, precious, purified blood is why they're so blood hungry for children. That innocence that's in children are closer to God, and they know that children have that innocence in them, and that's what they want. That's why they want their life force.
Even the idea of the first cloned sheep was a sheep named Dolly, the Lamb of God. See what I'm saying? Okay, see how it connects? Okay, and then you have the temptations with the food. Yeah, the first sin was because of temptation of food. He who controls the food controls your way of thinking, the way your body's gonna decay, or what you're gonna be thinking of, your habits, your influences, who influences you. Then you start controlling time. They're controlling the sphere you live in. They're telling you that the world runs around the world 666,000 miles an hour, around the sun, around the star. Again, the sun worshiping. Every single pagan religion always sun worshiping. So it's kind of like they're telling you, bro. It's been told in history. It's blatantly, and it's there. I have to agree with you in everything you've been saying.
And I mean, the thing about it too, for me, that I've noticed is that even though we're conspiracy theorists, and even though we have podcasts, and even though we rail against all of these things, like I went to visit my family recently, and one of my little cousins, I think maybe she's like 8 or 9, and she's just getting into like, God help me, like crop tops and stuff, which I'm totally not cool with because she's like 9. But she goes, Juju, listen to this song. It's my jam. And she plays it. It's Doja Cat. And I know you're going to know the one I'm talking about, like, ooh, she the devil, blah, blah, blah. That music video is on 10, totally satanic. She's offering up pounds of flesh to the devil. She's sucking the devil off. She's doing all this stuff. And my 9-year-old little cousin is like jamming to this, like, ooh, I'm the devil, this, that. And I'm sitting there looking at her, and I'm thinking to myself, at what point has a level of tolerance allowed this to happen. We've tolerated and tolerated and tolerated and made things this way slowly over time, because it's like they poke you a little bit and we're like, I don't really like that, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers, and I just want to be able to live life. If this makes it easier for me to live life, what the fuck ever, I guess it's cool. Like, we've tolerated a ton.
You know why, quite frankly? It started with religion, and I'm going to tell you why. You come from a Christian background. So do I. I was Protestant when I was a child. And they said salvation it's on the individual's mind. It's only on your end. Only you can save yourself if you go and actually try to be as closest to God and the most righteous you can. So saying that and saying is basically saying fuck everybody else. You don't have to go out there and save nobody. Everybody's going to save themselves. So just live yourself, live your life. As long as you're righteous with God, you have an intimate relationship with the only one, true creator, then you're good to go, right? And then you start leveling up what you think is just. You do, like for example, the Catholics. I'm not trying to bash on anybody that's Catholic here, but this is fucking factual. I could murder rape on Saturday night, and Sunday morning another man's going to forgive my sins, and then I made it into heaven because salvation, because of the way they write salvation. You see what I'm saying, right? Religion. And then you start getting accustomed to the privileged life that we live in, at least here in the United States. Overindulging in shit that we shouldn't be, consuming up the ass from a very young age, not only purchasing, but consuming music like the one that you just brought up right now. And then you have the whole idea of perverting the next generation. And like you said, children are the key. I think the Bible has, scripture has a passage where he tells everybody, you got to be more like a child when you come to my presence. You have to be a child. You have to be afraid of me. You have to love me and only me. When I see I have a 2-year-old daughter, I have a 13-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old daughter, when she sees me, I'm her God, bro. So all she knows is daddy, daddy, daddy. So you see what I'm saying? In that way, God wants you to come as pure and as loving as a child to him so that you could get forgiveness. And this is why they're trying to pervert that. You mentioned something also about the idea of perverting what he is. Now, I want to throw this out there. I want to see what you think about this. Jesus Christ, when he walked the earth, he was born as a Jew, registered as a Jew. Most Jews, when they're born, they get their penis, the foreskin of their penis is cut off.
They get snipped.
Right? Okay. So what I'm trying to reach at here is that somebody out there has been trying to capture all these relics where Jesus Christ's blood has been shed, or the remains of his DNA might be there, or somehow, some way, the tip of his penis is out there, and they're trying to mock him by giving birth to him with no father, no seeder, through a woman. It's just the oven, basically, like Mary did, right? And then you have the Antichrist. I know I might be going off on a tangent here, but this is it could mean, I mean, dude, because this is why we're theorizing on conspiracy theories, connecting dots.
Yeah, I mean, I've met some of the best friends in my life through podcasting and just talking about this very topic. I don't think anything is outside the realm of possibility. I've even said personally that I think that this Antichrist figure will be a transgender person. They'll embody all of the things of transhumanism, transgenderism, trans this, trans that. They'll be an icon for this illusion, this way that they want. Their ultimate goal is for everyone to be kind of like fluid, and there is no gender, there is no religion, and that's how they that's how they combine everyone into one, and it doesn't matter what country you live in, it doesn't matter about this, we're all just fluid floating, and no one's a specific gender, and no one is a specific this or that, and we have a one world currency, and it's going to be under the guise of like, this is so good for us, look at, we're all united. And that's why I think in the Bible it said, Jesus said, like, my people will know when my coming is nigh, because we will see the changes and we will be the ones that are bucking up against it. Like, we're the Bible thumpers, and like, oh my God, they're so religious and they vote for Trump and they do all, like, look, they're so retarded. And we're the ones that keep railing for sanity. And everyone else is like, why can't you just be crazy like us? Fucking crazy as fucking rat shit. Literally.
Yeah.
Why are we upside down?
That is an interesting take. A transgender anti. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
I
look
like that.
You know all the conspiracy theories about Michelle Obama, and everybody loves Michelle Obama. You fucking watch they try to put her ass in there as some type of a candidate, and it's the first black transgender as fucking president. Some shit like that. I'm not saying it's going to be specifically Michelle Obama, but you know how they would get behind that.
I love it. Yes. You're in Oklahoma. People like Michelle Obama in Oklahoma?
Not necessarily as much in Oklahoma, but you know that they would get behind her 1,000%. Even in Oklahoma, she would get like the black vote and like the minority vote. And especially women who are just like hate men and this whole like feminism movement. They're definitely voting for Michelle.
I don't want to be a fucking asshole here, but I have a personal friend of mine that the only reason they don't want to vote for Trump, and I'm not saying I'm trying to make this political. I swear to God, I'm not trying to make this political conversation. But I mean, you already mentioned it already here. Didn't want to mention, and I'm not saying you should vote for Trump. By all means, vote for whoever the fuck you want, as long as you take part and become, fulfill your duties as a civilian in the United States of America. By all means, just vote, right? But they don't want to vote for Trump because they just don't like Trump. Someone's like, wait, hold the fuck up, dude. Like, dude, that's the definition of hate. Like, what you rather go through hell and put the rest of us through hell, your own child, the future of this country, the future of your legacy, because you just dislike a man and you are religious and you're Christian. Oh, shut the front door. You're not. That's not. Yeah, okay. Let's say you hate the fucking guy because he's evil or whatever. All right, cool, I guess. But you cannot say you're gonna vote against him because the other guy is less evil. That it just doesn't make sense, man. Like, what do you believe in, right? And I'm just trying to bash on these people. But again, what you said about the black and minority vote, she might persuade them in different ways, but at the end of the day, they know in their heart. I know a lot of people that would vote for Kamala Harris just because she's a woman and she's dark skinned. Because we all know that's
black. My thing, though, right? That's my thing. And my husband is black, and we have this conversation all the time because I'll be like watching the debate, and I'll say something in favor of Trump, or I'll say something like this, and he's like, I just can't. Every cell in my body just hates that guy. And I'm like, do you see? And again, I'm not trying to get like overtly political, but if we're just talking about two human beings, fucking Joe Biden, JB over here, fucking has a full fucking tank of fucking shit in his diaper. Fucking on stage, he's farted in front of the Pope. He's literally, like, I busted up laughing when he said something. Trump looked at him and he was like, I don't know what he just said. I don't think he even knows what he just said. I mean, this is like, I get it. Every cell in your body hates Trump. He's arrogant and he's cocky and like whatever. He speaks really highly of himself all the time. I get it. You have something about him that you don't like. The alternative, though, is someone who can't formulate a sentence clearly. Mm-hmm. I would rather at least know what the hell he's saying than, like, do you understand what I mean? Like, at least can I have coherency? Can I have coherency? And someone who doesn't shit in a fucking diaper and trip downstairs and fart in front of people and fondleize people. Every time I see a video of JB, he's fucking fondleizing someone's arm, someone's kid. So, I mean, it's just disgusting.
And I don't want to take this personal, but I don't know if people, I'm 100% sure that not every black person knows, but they should know. Joe Biden's a fucking racist, bro. Joe Biden has used the N-word roughly and rolled his R's in Congress.
He literally said in an article that if you let him into school systems, they're like rats and roaches and you'll never be able to get them out. He said that. That. And then even in the debate, they were talking about, like, how are you going to provide funding for black colleges or black education, this and that. He talks like someone who's literally stuck in 1910. He's like, well, blacks have every right to use computer chips. And I'm going to make sure they get all the computer chips. It's like, Joe, listen, are you, like, tune in, Joe. Blacks have every right to use computer chips? Did you just say, like, what is a computer chip? Like, what are you actually saying? I mean, I get it. I'm not even choosing sides here, but I just want someone who's not fucking senile.
Word.
And here's my thing. The Bible says to pray for, your leaders and whatever, and I believe in that and everything. But I think that this system is set up to where your vote almost is dog shit. Like, they're going to choose and put into power whoever is going to benefit them in some kind of capacity. I think that's what happened. And they're saying Trump's a crying, whiny loser because he lost and he can't admit it. I've seen so much evidence to the contrary where they were showing up in unmarked vans with like boxes of votes for Joe and shit. That's not a lie.
That's evidence that people don't want to see. And there's 3 types of people in the world. All right, bro. There's 3 types of people in the world. There's the people like us that we know the conspiracy theory. We know it's not a theory. It's just conspiracy. It's real life. And we try to amplify it. We try to tell other people. And then you have the person that doesn't know. They're eating the steak. They really are in the Matrix. And then you have the third person. The person that knows and doesn't give a fuck. Because they're comfortable. They're comfortable with their life. And those are the people that are the most dangerous. Because at least the other person, when they wake up, you have the hope that when they wake up, they'll jump to your boat. But these people have decided to be against you already and decided to do the opposite of actually spreading truth. And a lot of the people that try to still say the resurrection, those criminals at the Capitol Hill. Like, I'm like, dude, like, did you even see the 4,000 hours of footage that has been out for a year? Like, I was one of the first people that reported on that. Like, how the fuck are you going to overlook? 4,000 hours of footage where the cops are letting these people in, and they were peacefully protesting. It didn't only start until the cops started fucking smoking their asses, and that was also videotaped. Where they're also provoked the people to jump in there. What are you telling me, bro?
Pelosi it's like they opened up the doors and they were like, come on in, do what you will. And the thing to me is like, if people don't think that this is by design, that there is dark arts, dark occult magic going on at every level, even going back, and this is why I almost have zero faith in voting at all anymore, or thinking that we are in control of anything, is because going back to even George Bush and George Bush Sr. and those shitty fucks, did you know that George Bush Sr.'s mom is supposedly the daughter of Aleister Crowley?
Hold the fuck up.
Bush and the motherfuckers mom. They look alike. If you look at Aleister Crowley and you look at old Barbara, the resemblance is giving Crowley. And is this why 2001 9/11 happened during the Bush administration? Oh my God, you're connected. The whole entire 9/11 situation reeked of dark occult magic. The symbolism, the number 11, the buildings look like an 11, all of that shit, it means something. It is significant. And when you look, and I'm not saying this to like, oh my God, she just dropped a bomb. If you look at Aleister Crowley and you look at old Barbara, there is a marked resemblance. It's giving Crowley, okay? And the whole thing is going back to the Nephilim. These elite class people legitimately come from these bloodlines. People who think they have magic in their blood. It goes all the way back to the beginning of time. You know how they always say, oh, they're playing checkers and we're playing chess or whatever the fuck? That's not an understatement. This has been going on since the beginning of time. It's very important to them to preserve these bloodlines in the highest levels of government too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You blew it up.
Well, thanks.
I found out that the year that they finished construction was the year that the same year was that the year that the United States adopted a number 911 as the emergency number. That's real. It's funny, huh? Funny. I wonder who was the president during the final stages of construction for those two towers. And if it was fucking Bush Senior, I swear to God, you just won the fucking Nobel Prize right now.
It would have had to have been. It would have had to. It would have had to have been.
I gotta Google this, dude.
If it
Anyway.
was Bush Senior, I'll be so surprised. But I wanted to mention something else, and you brought it to the front of my mind, and then I forgot to say it about the Joey B is secretly racist as hell, and made comments, and it was in a newspaper, him saying things about if you put blacks in schools, they're like rats and roaches, and you can't get them out. Well, even before that, most of the minority vote went to Republicans. And what changed that was Kennedy. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson changed the minority vote to Democrat. And there is a quote from Lyndon B. Johnson, and we all know what happened to Kennedy, and that's a whole nother episode. I can get into it at another time, but we all know what happened to Kennedy, and then Lyndon B. Johnson took over, and he was a piece of dog shit. And there is a quote from him that says, "We will have N-words with a hard R voting Democrat for generations."
He foretold their future. He solidified it.
But before Kennedy, the minority vote always went Republican. It wasn't until Kennedy, and everyone loved Kennedy so much. He was like a man of the people, whatever. And then Lyndon B. Johnson is on record saying we will have those inners voting Democrat for generations to come. So it's like you vote Democrat blindly because you think that somehow that equates to like, well, I'm this, so therefore I must vote this. If you go back in time, like, they're dogging your ass. They're like putting you on. They're literally laughing at you. Literally laughing.
I could almost guarantee that before the Kennedy situation, the giant switcheroo, people were more inclined to knowing. They were more educated in the idea of, and the fact that the Republican Party fought for civil rights. They were formed to abolish slavery.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? The minority vote always went Republican because of those things. And then it wasn't until Kennedy and Lyndon B. Oh, we'll have N-words voting Democrat for generations to come. Job well done. And now we got Sleepy Joe up there, and everybody's like, well, I mean, I guess I got to vote for him because he's Democrat. He hates you. He hates the air that you breathe.
Yeah. He completely. My laptop's about to die. Let me plug this in before it clicks on me. One moment here, and it's on. There she is. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with everything you said. And ladies and gentlemen, this was not supposed to get into a political conversation, but you know what? Quite frankly, guys, it's a political year. The tension's in the air. People are waking up. I come from. My wife is Salvadorian, and I'm obviously Mexican, and the mixture of races, the mixture of conversations, and people are saying, oh, well, all these immigrants and this and that. Look, I'm gonna tell you something, guys. I'm Chicano. I'm the first generation born here, and the tensions in the air, even with the family members. I spend more time with my work or with my work buddies, my colleagues, than with my own family. And when I come here, sometimes it gets to a conversation like, how can you be a Trump Ranger? Look at your skin color. That has nothing to do with my fucking skin color. This is why we're in the situation we're in, because you're responding to problems and issues emotionally. Now, I want to give you the opportunity not only to express yourself, let us know where they can find you one last time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah. I have the Cosmic Peach podcast. I'm available wherever you listen to podcasts. This is kind of a taste test of some things that I go into on my podcast, and why I think it's so important, and why I think politics gets brought up when you talk about the Nephilim bloodline is because if you can understand the power structure, you can understand where we're headed as not only a country, but in the world. So it's not an accident. These people aren't appointed and get to the places that they are because they just are really great patriots. I think that everything in some way and capacity is by design. And if you can understand this bloodline, if you can understand that it goes all the way back to the beginning of time, that they do believe that we're slaves to them because they are magic, because they are superior, you will understand why we're here and where we're headed as a nation.
Damn. And that is Julia from the Cosmic Peach podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts on her show on all podcast platforms. This allows other people to enjoy the show as much as we enjoy making this amazing episode. Julia, I want to thank you again for spending a beautiful time with us here today, bringing us your knowledge, your time, and your information, your wealth of information. Dude, I'm sure that people are going to connect and hopefully they hit you in the DMs. Even if it's just talk shit, fucking talk shit back. Let's go. I do it all the time, and when I get stupid messages like "you're a stupid trouble," they send me emails through my website, and I'm like, "Yo, well, like you took the time to put paranoidradio.com in the search bar, search for the little message thing, and then send me an email, bro, and that I'm going to reply in 3 weeks. Like, how the fuck, dog?" I don't get it, bro.
True. It's so true. It's so true.
How much do you hate me for loving someone? Like, dude, how about just pray for me, dude? If you really think I'm bad, or I'm doing bad, and my life is on a spiral, and then just fucking pray for me, dude. That's the best you could do. If you really want to hurt me, or start your own fucking podcast and just collab. How about that? Damn. Yeah. Make sure you check her out. Cosmic Peach podcast on all podcast platforms. You're gonna be able to also find you're also gonna be able to find her on paranoidradio.com under the drop down menu of special links and guests. Julia, have a beautiful night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Paranoid Radio.